Hi, it's Mike. I thought I would just do a quick recording to walk everybody through the file sharing dilemma that we're facing with this Fin provider dashboard. So we have a bit of color, more color about what we're trying to do and what some of the limitations have been. So effectively what we're trying to do is we've built a dashboard that for Fin, which depends on data provided by the providers. And so there, for all of us, for Jamie, for Neetu and myself doing the development, and for the providers, this is a question of having access in the right way to the right files. So I'll show you on the left how we hope this will work. So here what I'm doing with this OneDrive folder is I've actually synchronized this OneDrive folder that Jamie shared with me for Fin Provider Dashboard to my desktop. And this folder is the master folder for this project. And when this is synchronized to my desktop, the thing is it works just like any other local folder would. And I'm saying I'm using this in Windows, by the way, using File Explorer, but it would be the same on Mac with Finder. And that is that all the files in here behave just like a normal desktop folder would, or a shared server folder. So if I look in here for myself as a developer, I can go in the program folder, I can open this up straight from here. So I don't have to go through any rigmarole of download, upload, etc. It's just as if it was a local version. And OneDrive in this case is keeping that synced with the cloud folder in the sky. So here we go, I can edit my folder and go right into it. But perhaps more to the point, since Neetu and I now do have access, is the providers. So if I go back to this folder again, on the input side, what we've set up is the set of provider folders. And what we want within each of these is the specific input data for each of these providers. So Amanda Clemens, this is the spreadsheet that they should use to keep their data up to date so that Jamie, they can do this directly and Jamie won't have to go and do this herself or re-enter the data, etc. So if they can enter this data directly by going into the worksheet and we have direct access to the same folders for our dashboard, then we can basically make the process seamless, ideally, so that they can enter their data here. Jamie doesn't have to do a thing. The dashboard reads it straight from the same folder structure, and then it's published automatically to the web several times a day through Power BI. So this is the best case scenario. The other point is that these providers, of course, should only have access to their particular folder, and Jamie needs to be able to both grant and revoke access to these folders as needed. So that's the best case scenario. That's really what we're looking for. Jamie, providers, me and Neetu, all of us can sync these folders to our desktop. Of course, for us, it'll be the whole folder structure. For providers, it would just be their particular folder. And then we can all operate this dashboard the way it's intended to. However, what we've obviously found is that there are security restrictions on OneDrive that don't let us do this. So if we can't sync to the desktop, then you're put in another position. So instead of the left side, which is the synchronization option, I'm going to go to the right side now, and I'm going to show you what the web interface would look like. And Jamie had to deal with this at first before we figured out her desktop side of this. But I'm going to go ahead and sign in, and I'm going to look at the exact same folder. Look at the exact same folders. Go ahead and enter my password. Oh. And then, of course, I'll have to do my one-time passcode, which is 074391. All right, so I'm going to go into OneDrive on the web now, and I'm going to look at the same folder structure there that we looked at on the left here. So I'm going to go to Shared. I'm going to see Shared with Me. Here's the Fin Provider Dashboard, and you can see that it has exactly the same folder structure here that's present over on the left. The problem is it's in a much less convenient format. So let's say I'm a provider. Well, obviously, if I'm me and Jamie, I don't want to have to go in here and upload and download files all the time. I want to edit them directly because they change and things change and we need to be able to update. But let's say that I'm a provider. Let's take their view for a second. I'll go into one of their folders. Now, here's the interesting thing, and I was explaining this a little bit to Jamie, but it may not have been obvious. So I can see that this is an Excel file, right? But I'm also in Chrome. So I actually can edit this using Excel online, but only if I have an O365 license. So if I, as Mike, Empire Health, if I click on this, I have O365 and Excel online. So I can actually go in and edit this through the browser, which I think would be an acceptable solution for the providers. Not for me and Jamie, we need deeper access, or me and Jamie need to, but for the providers, this would actually work. However, I don't know that we can assume that they have access to O365 licenses, and I presume we don't want to buy them for them either. So that's only useful if this only works. If you don't have that, then what you've got to do is actually download this file. Okay, so see it's come down. Now I could click on my local desktop and it would open this version in Excel. I enable editing. I could make a change this to 2 or whatever, and then I could upload it. I'm not going to do this, and then I would have to upload this changed version back up into this folder. So clearly, I think this is relying on a level of navigation sophistication that we probably shouldn't count on. The other thing I'll say about this is, so the other problem with this too is that, and let me go back to the provider folder, is Jamie being able to share this, right? So what Jamie wants to do is give read-write access to this folder just to the Amanda Clemens, right? But when we go to sharing, what the problem is, the way this is set up now, it can find me fine, right? Like it finds me and Mike fine, but I can't enter Amanda blah blah blah. I get no result because this is designed and set up. It doesn't have to be this way, but it's set up to be just internal to the EHF family of companies. So also here the problem is that there's no easy way for her to do it. There's no way to get around the two-factor authentication, blah, 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 blah. So it's not that OneDrive can't do this. In fact, it can meet all our needs. It's just that the way this is implemented, it's too clamped down. And in fact, we saw that for me and Nitu, the only way we were able to, well, I'm okay because again, I'm in the directory. But the only way we were able to give Nitu access, direct read-write access to these folders was by some workaround stuff that Wade did for her to have access. So that's not obviously the thing we want to go. We want Jamie to be able to administer this, to grant and revoke access basically to any email user to these subfolders without any intervention. And if we can do that, and then the providers are all updating the data themselves, then we won't have to, we ideally will be in a situation where there's no manual intervention at all required by any of us, that the providers just update their data each week and it automatically flows through to the model. So I guess the last thing I'll just show you in this is that just as they depend on that, I can say that in our folder, we actually refer to these directly to these OneDrive folder that contains all these input files. So this is why, you know, this is also equally important for Jamie and I, which is if I look at the edit data source settings where we're getting our data, I can see in here that I'm actually pointing right now to this local folder structure here, right? So if I don't have direct access to that, then we have to jink around with it a little bit. And that'll change based on what folder system we end up with, but we'll worry about that. The main thing is that Jamie needs the ability to go ahead and share these folders up to and including the main folder for me and Nitu. We need to be able to do this basically with outside users who aren't part of the EHF or FIN family. I hope that helps. Hope that makes sense. You understand the differences, and we'll hopefully come up with a good solution soon. Okay, bye.